but it's in the video. We're just about to release it. It's a picture collage of my trip to D.C., and I think you'll like it. It keeps you interested. We got to put some music to it, but finding something that YouTube won't, dig into a copyright, and if they want it gone, they'll make it gone. So, and I just don't have the time right now to make my own music like I did for Blue Collar Politics, but I will get back to it. My keyboard, after I paid to fix it, is now broken again. It didn't last 2 sessions, so I'm kind of mad about that. So once again, I'm without a keyboard, so I can't do the music for my own commercials. All right, so let's get to, we will come back to this because this is awesome, and I want to go over it again. Trump he's catching some of these fake news people, and he's drawing them out. He's drawing out he's going against Obama and proved that Obama lied during the 2016 election, that Obama was using FBI task force to listen in on the Trump Tower on their campaign meetings. So even with trying to cheat, taking everyone to everything, that man committed so many crimes, it's not even funny. He should be in jail for life. I think some of them were even treasonous, and I still think you couldn't be walked out back of the courthouse and shot. I know there's a fence around the outside area, so they could do it and no one else would get hurt. If you commit treason, we should definitely, you are definitely, that should be the death penalty. And we need to get the Pledge of Allegiance back into the classroom. We have to do it. One last little bit about the Facebook. I'm making a copy. I am going to go over and see, because the live stream's not on, it is not on the Facebook, and it is not on my Facebook. Why isn't... Okay. Well, I will just put it in the What's on Your Mind. I'll put the link to FryDay News because we don't have... You gotta be kidding me. Okay. I put the link in there. I'm not going to write anything about it, but all right, boom, the link is in there. Now, hopefully we will get it live on either my Facebook or FryDay News Facebook. All right, you know what? We'll be right back after this commercial. Please listen in and pay attention to our sponsors. They sponsor us, which costs them money, and all they want you to do is listen to their thoughts. So pay attention to our sponsors. Thank you.
At Benzer Pharmacy, we understand busy. That's why all our locations offer free home delivery, personalized service, refill reminders, and specialty medications, even pet meds.
Are you sick of our healthcare system? The lies, constantly putting you on one more drug that isn't covered by your health insurance company? I'm sick of it too. And I found a very old recipe for colloidal silver. It is a liquid solution created using electrolysis to suspend pure metallic elemental silver in groups of particles of 18 atoms or fewer, each with a positive electric charge, attached to a simple protein molecule in distilled water. Some say that the colloidal silver goes back 4,000 years. I found the process that was almost been lost to time, Colloidal Silver works just like triple antibiotic ointment. It will keep your cuts clean, and it's an antiviral too. This product could save your life when there's no doctor around, and you can put Colloidal Silver directly on the wound to keep the infection away. Get yours now at bluecollarpolitics.org. Just click on the BCP store tab, and you are on your way to having that doctor in a bottle. Blue Collar Politics is brought to you by CK Custom Security Consultants and Paladin Security Consultants. Offers you an unparalleled after-the-sale service where you become a client, not just a sale. We offer DVR multi-camera systems, access point sales and service, NVR multi-location systems up to 320 cameras, biometric safeguards, wireless cameras, computer networks, mobile cameras for car, truck, camper, or semi-truck, POS, point of sale, cash register systems, video compiling, loss prevention. We are experienced with the court procedure, asset protection, hardened access point installs, door or upgrade. We offer expert security analytics free with purchase. We also offer free digital forensic service all the way to the courtroom. We never leave our clients to fend for themselves. We work with the police department and the prosecutors to ensure your interests are looked after. At CK Custom and Paladin Security Consultants, we can work with your contractor to install your security DVR system during a remodel or new construction in order to hide the wires, providing the perfect professional install. We are here to make your business board secure. CKC Security Consultants and Paladin Security Consultants are ready to help enhance your security, engineer, installation, and maintenance, and investigation. Browse our site and give us a call for a free on-site consult at 352-321-9519. We serve the Central Florida area, but we do have the capability to travel to put a system in anywhere in the state of Florida. You can go to ckcustom.com and find out everything about the camera systems we offer, and if you have any questions, we have multiple pages that explain each one of the features that we list for sale. We want to make sure you understand what you are getting when you get it, and that you will know you are protected after you purchase a system from Paladin Security Consultants.
Yeah, we're going to talk to that sponsor and get that one shortened up a bit. And just that's a little bit long of a commercial. But you know what? I'm talking behind the curtain. All right. We are back here at FryDay News. I am Thomas Fry, your anchor, and let's get into the coronavirus 19 pandemic numbers for the week. We have 4,608,000, only 307,000 deaths, and considering there's over 7 billion people in the world, that's nothing. Recovered is 1.7 million people have recovered from this over. So, you know, they've already closed over 2 million cases. They're done with. The people who went through it, healed, and they're looking for the spike, or they're looking for the where this is going, and they have everything by country, and I will have it in the details in the video, so if you want to go back to it later, you can. And every single country is listed, but you'll find there's some gaps in it, because China, even though they have 1.4 billion people, they've only had 3 deaths. Yeah, right. And they're lying. So we know our numbers aren't lying. Our numbers are true here in the United States because those numbers make us look bad. But they didn't miss a single country. There's 215 listings of total cases. Now, what I want to get into is these cases are combining all the different things that are happening. Like right now, scientists are tracking COVID-19 mutations, and the results are terrifying. Researchers discovered 3 distinct strains of SARS-CoV-2 to analyze, which is COVID-19, with each of its own unique behaviors, and that was before the countless mutations as it spread around the globe. Analyzing the pathogens genomes from 160 patients, a team of UK geneticists has traced the early months of the novel corona spread across Asia, Europe, the Americas, and the trajectory as complex as it is staggering. The team, led by Cambridge University geneticist Peter Foster, drew a map of the pandemic spread between December 24th and March 4th. The viral network, which had detailed its snapshot in the early stages of the epidemic before the evolutionary paths of COVID-19 became obscured by vast number of mutations. It's scary that it is getting to that point. Holy crap, where's my other... Okay. COVID-19 statistics mirror when the crisis started. The governor of New York had to say, and 5 regions partially open, the rest paused until May 28th, the governor says. Albany, New York, half of the New York's regions are ready to partially reopen their economies. All 5 are in upstate North County.
Good morning.
Here we go.
Happy Friday. You guys look tired today. Don't worry, it's Friday. You young guys need stamina. Friday you'll have the weekend off. Oh, no, you won't. That's right. Let's take a look and see where we are today. Total number of hospitalizations, down. That's the way we like to see it. Rolling average, down. That's the way we like to see it. Change in intubations, down. That's the way we like to see it. Number of new cases up. We don't like to see that, but it's only up a tick. And again, these numbers tend to bounce, but it's been a slow decline. There's no doubt about that. And you see there's been several plateaus in the decline. We are very curious to find out where that number winds up, how low the new cases go. We've done a lot of research, as you know. Those new cases mostly coming from people who are at home. So we're talking about home spread, more than at work, more than first responders, more than essential personnel. And that's the hardest place to control the spread, is when a person's literally at home, right? There are very few precautions. It's all about personal behavior. But that's where those cases are coming from. Number of deaths is down, but still painful, 132. We are right about where we were when we started this. Number of lives lost. We go right back to March 27th, and that's when we really first started this miserable journey. Good news again, if you look at New York, our curve is down. Congratulations, New Yorkers. And actually, the curve in the rest of the nation is up. So while cases are increasing across the country, The number of cases in New York are actually going down, and that's remarkable in some ways because we had more cases than anyone else, not because there's anything particular in the air in New York, but because we had people coming from Europe bringing the virus at a time when no one knew the virus had moved from China to Europe. And we had 3 million Europeans come January, February, March before we did the ban on European travel. And those flights came to the East Coast, and they landed at JFK Airport, which was one of the funnel airports, if you remember. So the problem had nothing to do with us, but we were then tasked with resolving it, and New Yorkers stepped up to the plate and have done a great job. Question now is on reopening. We're going to open half the regions in the state today, 5 regions out of 10. They are the regions that meet the numerical criteria. There's no politics to this judgment. There's no arbitrary nature to this judgment. It's all on the numbers. 7 criteria, which basically measure the infection rate, hospitalization rate, testing rate, et cetera, and that's how the decision is made. For those regions that don't qualify to...
Okay, well, that's basically what he has to say. It is, oh, I hit the wrong button. There we go. So let me move me back over and, okay, well, my window's all screwed up, but, oh well. Anyway, you can see that, so that's the important part. So let me continue on this COVID-19. It's something else. All right. It is in a downward slope. We are getting less new cases, and for the country, it's still taking off. But you have around the country, you have people saying, "Oh, well, this ain't nothing," blah blah blah, and they're causing the problems. Okay. You have to wash your hands constantly if you go anywhere, especially things you don't think about. When you touch the buttons on the credit card machine, every person in line touches those buttons, and then you got to touch them in order to get your password, your 4-digit PIN in to pay for stuff. Unless you got Apple Pay or something like that, you have no choice but to touch it. So you need to wash your hands constantly. Because as we're going through this, they are also, things of the protests are getting bigger. The arrests that cops are making are bigger, and the COVID-19 in our area is down. Okay, we don't have that issue anymore. We got very low numbers, but New York's, they got every day they have some sort of thing going on to and it's kind of scary. It really is. Hold on one second. We'll be right back.
Are you sick of our healthcare system? The lies, constantly putting you on one more drug that isn't covered by your health insurance company? I'm sick of it too. And I found a very old recipe for colloidal silver. It is a liquid solution created using electrolysis to suspend pure metallic elemental silver in groups of particles of 18 atoms or fewer, each with a positive electric charge, a protein molecule in distilled water. Some say that the colloidal silver goes back 4,000 years. I found the process that was almost been lost to time. Colloidal Silver works just like triple antibiotic ointment. It will keep your cuts clean, and it's an antiviral too. This product could save your life when there's no doctor around, and you can put Colloidal Silver directly on the wound to keep the infection away. Get yours now at bootcollarpolitics.org. Just click on the BCP store tab, and you are on your way to having that doctor in a bottle.
Okay, it's Friday News. I'm Thomas Fry, and we're back. The coronavirus cases in Georgia, Florida continue to decline despite business openings. Some states engaged in reopening their economies have not yet seen coronavirus outbreaks feared by health officials. In particular, Georgia and Florida, which were projected to see sharp rise in new cases, have not experienced major outbreaks in the past week. The average number of new daily cases in Florida has declined by 14% over the past week, and Georgia's average new daily cases dropped by 12% during the same time period, according to analysis by Axios. The data on the new cases is imperfect because of variations between states in the amount of the frequency of coronavirus testing. As of Wednesday, Florida has confirmed almost 42,000 coronavirus cases, while Georgia has confirmed 35,000. Cases in the U.S. still continue to expand, but some of that is due to the fact that we're testing more. Former FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb said Wednesday on NBC's The Today Show, cautioned that this is an epidemic that hasn't run its course nationally and hasn't really started to show sustained declines outside of the New York region. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has stated that he fears of an impending disaster in his state were overblown. And I honestly, I agree with him. I understand when you say you get the individual person is smart, but you put a whole bunch of them in a circle and they seem to lose their intelligence. But as long as, you wear your mask, you wash your hands, you cover yourself from doing this stuff, and, you got it. So, and by the way, you can get no-touch thermometers that are offered by the doctor for $69 online. That's a good price, finally, for temperatures. But everyone is able to get their face masks and get better. We're getting sorted it out. So while we're going back to work and things are starting to happen again, people are also more active in actually taking care of their own thing of what's going on. The Florida coronavirus update for Friday: DeSantis opens gyms. Central Florida reports 100 new COVID-19 cases. But what they don't say is that 2,500 businesses opened with millions of people going to those businesses and only 100 new cases. So if you count how many businesses opened and then how many people got sick, it's not that big of a number. So I got a little 3-minute thing here I think you'll like. If I can get him to... Oh, I know what I did wrong. Oh, we'll just wait till he comes.
We are going to move in effective Monday into what I would call a full phase one. Some of the things that we could have done but didn't do initially, we are now adding, and I think that this is appropriate given the progress that Florida's made. I think it's fully consistent with our safe, smart, step-by-step approach. Restaurants. We had started initially outdoor seating 6 foot apart with 25% indoor capacity. We are now going effective Monday to operating up to 50% capacity, and a lot of that is based off the spacing of the tables, or if you have some type of partition, because I've had some restaurateurs tell me, hey, I got plexiglass, my booths, I can't move them, but I have plexiglass. That's fine, that's effective. All we're trying to do is create a low-risk environment. Gyms and fitness centers, so effective Monday, gyms can operate. Make sure that you have respect the social distancing capacity. I would say for some of these places like CrossFit that do outdoor training, that's great. The outdoor stuff, again, that's a lower risk environment in an outdoor than if you're inside a stuffy room in a gym doing something where you're going to potentially be exposed to respiratory droplets. So we would tell people, just like how the restaurants are seeing, I've seen people out in CrossFit and on these other ones doing things outside, that's fine. If you're inside, make sure you're doing the social distance, and then sanitize machines and surfaces after use. Professional sports venues, I've been vocal the last couple days. Any Florida team, basketball, hockey, baseball, you obviously could train all you want. Basketball, I know the NBA, some of these places are thinking about getting back in. Go ahead and train, no problem. Amusement parks. Parks can submit reopening plans to the state. They should identify the date certain that they believe that they could resume safe operations. They have to provide how they're going to do it, how they're going to accommodate the guests, how they're going to protect the staff, and then they need to have an endorsement from the relevant official in their locality, Orange County mayor, wherever you're talking about. I was watching during the middle of March when Disney and Universal were still operating. They had determined that they were going to close, but they said, we're going to keep people here through the weekend because the people have nowhere to go. And I fully supported that decision, but they were doing a lot of stuff even then to promote hygiene and distancing. And so I know that they've been working on this a lot. I know Disney's got a run going on in Shanghai. But my goal on all this is let's keep safety first, but let's work and innovate to get to yes on this stuff. So I can't tell you when this is going to be, but I think that we need to say, come up with your plan, show us what you got, work with your local officials, and then we'll see what we can do.
Okay, so that was the Governor Ron DeSantis on Friday. Reopened a bunch of stuff and reopened gyms, fitness centers, and you heard what he said. We're up to 50% capacity, and that's great. Walt Disney World, all those places, they are working on getting reopened and getting their staff hired back on. Disney, they should get the ACE award for companies over this, because they employ, between all of them, we're talking 60,000 people that live in work in Orange County and live in the surrounding counties, where Disney kept making their paychecks. Now, they couldn't give them all their paycheck, but they were paying them like 70-80%, so they wouldn't have to go, because you couldn't get, for a while, you could not get unemployment. Our unemployment program doesn't work for crap down here in Florida. So, and then when you pile on thousands of people on it, it just kept crashing the site. So a lot of those companies just kept paying their employees, and Disney's looking at $1 billion loss in shutting those parks down, and I'm just talking the paychecks. Walt Disney World, between the Florida and between Florida and California, they're losing almost $750 million a day. So hopefully, and they really couldn't open at 25%. They needed it to be 50% so they could pay everybody and keep the doors open. So now with everything hitting 50%, they are doing a really good job at prepping for opening again. I'm glad I'm bringing you good news this week, rather than bring you bad news. And I just love to bring you good news. We got a little news flash here, and I'm opening it up right now, so give me 1 second. TV anchor Martha Shigowski newscast interrupted by screaming son. TV news viewers watching anchor Martha Shigowski delivered eyewitness news on WFTV Channel 9 Thursday evening got to witness the perils of parenting from working from home in the pandemic. Shigalowski, like many news anchors in Orlando and across the nation, had been broadcasting from home. As she was finishing up reading a story for Live on Air, her 6-year-old son, Heaton, came running behind her, screaming in her makeshift studio. Sorry about that, Shigalowski says, and then plunged ahead into her next story. The Department of Labor today issued new safety tips. Her older son, Maxwell, took the blame for the incident, posting on Twitter that he startled Heaton. And, ha ha ha, Marshall Shigalowski, sorry for knocking on the door and scaring Heaton, he tweeted. You know, we're all human, and sometimes we make mistakes, and we're doing a lot of stuff from home. We're not doing it from, professional studios and stuff. And I have to applaud all the newscasters from the main channels. They may tell you sugar-coated stories and not really get into depth on what the truth is, but they are being taken care of, and they are doing the right job with this coronavirus. I just think the whole response of the United States government was disproportionate. And I'm going to take this section of the show, and we need to get into what's going on that's on kind of, I guess you could call it the dark side. Because this response, and I had a couple of things with Trump, and of course I'm a home studio too, so I moved them so I could be ready for the show tonight. And then guess what? I found them. All right, here we go. A blacklight experiment shows how quickly a virus like COVID-19 can spread at a restaurant. So let's hear what they have to say.
Common sight on cruise ships, resorts and casinos. Piles of hot food in communal trays, each patron helping themselves to as many servings as desired. If just one is infected, it may be the perfect setting for a virus to flourish. And a new video out of Japan helps show how fast it could spread. Medical experts teamed up with the country's public broadcaster, NHK, in an experiment that simulates a cruise ship's buffet-style restaurant. First, one of 10 participants rubs his palms with special liquid only visible under black light. He represents an infected person who had coughed into his hands. Then he joins 9 others as they spoon food onto their plates and sit down to eat. After 30 minutes, the room goes dark before an ultraviolet light comes on. The fluorescent liquid is now visible on a lot of surfaces. Items the so-called infected person had touched. Tongs,
and people
pitchers,
were still
food
touching their
trays,
face after they saw how the coronavirus spread,
and in turn spread to silverware, dishes, glassware, clothing and phones. After half an hour, every participant had come into contact with the liquid. 3 of them had gotten it on their faces, a visual show of how easily a contaminated substance can travel.
The issues with that video is that there's a lot of material which was put on the hands, and so that's a very artificial situation. But I think what they've been able to do is to actually show just what the consequences are of the spreading of potential infectious disease from hands when proper hand hygiene is not performed.
Video of the experiment has been viewed millions of times since it was posted by NHK. The Joint Project Supervisor says it's partly meant to illustrate how often some surfaces are touched by many people, like handrails, light switches or door handles.
It may seem radical, but I think that video should be put in front of every single public restroom. Many of the countries which have opened up is that the outbreaks have been linked to small clusters, what people call not necessarily the people being super spreaders, but the locations being super spreaders, which highlights the need that people must be having much more attention to hand hygiene as well as the social distancing.
NHK and its collaborators did a second, cleaner version of the experiment. using hygiene changes like separating dishes, replacing tongs frequently, and asking participants to wash their hands during and after the meal. 30 minutes into that experiment, no one had picked up the fluorescent paint. Anna Corrin, CNN.
This next story, a man alone at sea for 3 months emerges to a changed world. Could you imagine that?
For the first time in 3 months, Bill Norrie is on solid ground.
I think you need a beer.
Oh, I need a beer! Oh my God. It's been a long, long time in isolation.
Female voices? I just love female voices.
Local sailors there to welcome him.
Yeah, you deserve it.
The retiree finally able to shore up and relax.
I never thought today was going to happen. Oh.
But the world he's emerging into
Heather's got some fresh scones for you.
is very different to the one he left.
You know, I love the New Zealand butter, McCann.
When the brave adventurer left Canada in his yacht, Pixie, 9 months ago, COVID-19 didn't exist. His voyage took him around the world, and at his last stop in South Africa 3 months ago, the outbreak had barely begun. His only connection, satellite emails from his wife.
Zero. Just my wife saying, oh, the jargon is sort of rounding out the curve, so now we're 6 feet away, and oh, really? So it's still sort of strange to me.
Even his entry into Littleton Harbour in Christchurch was a little complicated.
I was the most isolated person on the planet. Ironic, they didn't want to let me in. Oh, it's too funny.
Officials deciding there was no need for a quarantine.
He's been at sea for 3 months by himself, socially distancing, washing his hands.
His lockdown spent right here and set to continue.
My sleeping bags and my blankies and
Wow,
my
could you imagine that, being alone at sea? Now we got a radical new type of vaccine being developed in London.
Everywhere there's a race for a COVID vaccine, but here in London Paddington there's a race for a new type of vaccine altogether. Professor Robin Shattuck is leading a team at Imperial College who are using a new technique to get the human body to recognise the most dangerous part of the virus, the hook or spike on its outside, so the body can be ready if it ever sees the real thing.
You're not even giving the body part of the virus, you're giving the body the plans for the most deadly part of the virus.
Absolutely.
They begin human trials in mid-June and hope for 6,000 human tests by October. Maybe early next year, this revolutionary technique will be ready for you or I. Here's how it works.
The spikes on...
So, people are very hard at work at trying to find a vaccine for something that, honestly, we should have never had to happen in the first place. This whole thing started in China because the SARS-CoV-2 COVID-19 escaped the laboratory where they were testing it to use this as a weapon. Now, the world has signed treaties against the use of biological weapons, all right? That's a major no-no. So now China has done it, and it's been released into the entire world. And our country, just the first time, spent $2 trillion, and they're going to have to put out a lot more money before this is over. A lot of businesses will not survive without help, and giving them a low-interest loan is not fair. If you shut them down, you have to pay to bring them back, okay? Because you didn't give these people the opportunity to invest in the social distancing, the gloves, the cleaning. You didn't allow them to do that first to see if that could stem the spread of coronavirus. So we'll never know if that would have worked in the first place. But in the meantime, we got ranchers in Texas killing cattle that never get turned into beef. We still have dairy farms pouring out hundreds of thousands of gallons of milk that doesn't make it. Milk's still expensive in the grocery store, but yet they're taking the tanks and just opening the bottom valve and letting it run out onto the ground because you can't stop milking the cattle and you can only store milk for so long. Milk has a shelf life of about 14 days from the time the cow gives it up. It takes 3 days to get it between the farm and get it to the processing plant where they heat it up to 160 degrees, put it in bottles, and then while it cools down, it seals itself inside the bottle from the heat. And then it goes immediately into the refrigerator where there it gets delivered to grocery stores. But you shut down all these restaurants, you literally, the government destroyed half of the food supply of where it was going, and just they shut everything down, and it's been down for months. And so who's going to pay for the ranchers that had to kill their cattle because of this, and had to get... They don't sell that kind of insurance to farmers. You don't have acts of God covering it. You may have, they'll have it on a house or something, but I hope an insurance company comes up with a unregistered military designed biological weapon and come up with an insurance for it, because I don't know about you, but the whole world shut down. I mean, there are currently no wars going on. No one's fighting each other. So keep those guns laid down. Don't give them up, but don't pull the trigger. Let's call an end to it. We actually went, I think, 14 days with no murders. Wow. That is very good for our country. All right. Trump was right. President claims pandemic has proved his economic theories. The remarks representative of reinforcement of White House's largely isolated foreign policy outlook. President Donald Trump claimed the coronavirus pandemic has proven his America First economic philosophy correct, slamming the competing financial theories exposed by those he dismissed as globalists. Look, there's nothing good about what happened with the plague, okay? Especially the death. But one thing is, it said Trump was right. The president was referring to himself in the third person. He told Maria Bartiromo of Fox Business in an interview that aired on Thursday. Because I was getting a lot of fight back, even from people that I like a lot in Congress, etc., and now they're not fighting. Trump continued, going on to criticize these stupid supply chains that are all over the world, which he contended imperil the flow of goods to the United States during episodes of foreign turmoil. One piece of the world goes bad and the whole thing is messed up, he added. I said we shouldn't have supply chains. We should have them all in the United States. We have the companies to do it. And if we don't, we can do that too. The Trump administration has struggled at times to meet surging demand among healthcare workers, for general public, for coronavirus testing, and personal protective gear such as face masks and gowns. The president has managed to spur production of ventilators and some other needed medical equipment, but hurdles remain, including they need to scale up the production for yet-to-be-discovered vaccine in order to generate the hundreds of millions of doses to inoculate Americans. Later in the interview, Trump made another self-congratulatory statement when he asserted the far-reaching public health crisis would result in a large-scale return of industrial jobs to the U.S. It is all going to be back together. And in many ways, we learned a lot, he said, and we are going to bring back manufacturing that we could never have done without this. As bad as this has been, because now people agree with me, lots of people are saying Trump was right. Well, whether Trump was right or not, the statement is of fact, and a lot of people that I talk to on a daily basis are starting to look for that American flag when they are buying stuff. And I have to admit, before the coronavirus hit, all my equipment came from a Chinese company. Now I can't get equipment from a Chinese company. I had to look inside the U.S. to see if anybody had it, and now CK Custom has a new manufacturer. All American-made equipment will go in on every job that CK Custom does. Every bit of it American-made, and that will pay American people to do it. So that will save American jobs. If you look out in your driveway and you don't have a GM, a Ford, or a Chrysler, you own a foreign car. Now, Hondas are made in America, and so are Toyotas are assembled in America. Those are the only two foreign companies, and both of those are Japanese. Now, I have no problem with those two being here. I think we need to get rid of the rest. We need to concentrate on buying American-made goods. We need to build our country back up strong again, because look what happens when you depend on we have no choice but to depend on China. Well, of course we're going to get sick, because everything that you're buying comes from China. It got to be where it was a joke. We would laugh about it because there's nothing else. You can't find anything in the U.S. because everything's made in China. Well, this coronavirus is changing everything. And I don't want to say, I don't believe in when they say it's the new normal. That's crazy. It's not the new normal. It's the new America. Now, all we have to do is get people to stop saying, I'm a Mexican American, I'm a black American, I'm a white American, I'm a Chinese American. Actually, no, you're not. You are an American. There is no adjective that goes in front of America. None whatsoever. So, I want to read something to you, so hang on with me. We're going to run over our time a little bit. I hope I don't make my producers mad. But I want to read you something that is very, very important, and I bet you some people won't even understand what I am talking about when I say it. But most of you will understand exactly what I am talking about, and you gotta be kidding me. Hang on one second. Here we go. Okay. All right. One second. I was just looking, and you got to be kidding me. Oh. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's a 31-word Pledge of Allegiance. You put your hand over your heart, and every time you see an American flag, and you say the Pledge of Allegiance, because your great-great-grandfather, your great-great-grandfather, your great-grandfather, and probably your grandfather fought to keep you free. Freedom is not free. We are the freest nation in the world. Although sometimes it's kind of crazy, our freedom, we feel like it's being trumped on by the United States government, which you know my feeling on that. I think we need to get rid of all the government, Congress and senators, and we need to require, I think, I heard them talk about in the radio, they need to work at least a year. You stupid liberal. They need to work 20 years. You're not going to learn anything in a year except for you should be on time. But you don't start realizing how important something is till you're 10, 15 years into doing a project. So I don't think you should be allowed in the Senate or Congress without putting in 20 years of a job. No more political science degrees. Every university should drop it. Obama was he organized protests. That was all he's ever done. He knew nothing about how hard it was for America to make America. Freedom was not free. But he sure as hell ran up the tab while he was in office, because he took us from $6 trillion to $22 trillion with $127 trillion of unfunded liabilities. So when it comes down to it, this is America. You are an American. You're not Chinese American, you're not Black American, you're not what the hell ever American, you're not Spanish, you're not Cuban American. You are an American. If you were born in this country, you are an American. If you went through all the proper procedures to become a certified citizen of this country, you are an American. No adjective belongs in front of American. So when you look in the mirror and look at yourself and say, I am an American. I am not an American. And there is no adjective in front of America. You will start automatically gaining respect for this country. We have too much of the younger generation that does not understand what it took to buy our freedom. Freedom is not free. It takes a military to keep you free. They guard our borders while we enjoy life. That's their job. We pay them to do it. So we don't have to. But when you start adding things to the word American, you are spitting on the grave of the soldiers that fought for this country, that fought for this flag, that proudly wore it on their uniform and died for this country. So you can be an American. So that's food for thought. I am Thomas Fry. This is FryDay News, and I want to thank you for listening in.